collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the Mandalorian Mech Force suit from the new Power the Force subline of the Star Wars Epic World of Action line from Hasbro. So a bit of a mouthful, but basically apparently you need to be force sensitive to get elbows and knees. That's what I'm figuring out here. So I don't know if it's like a rebrand or they're just trying to... I mean, it used to be Epic Hero Series, now it's Epic World of Action. They have this Power the Force logo as like a subline, and all the figures have elbows and knees now, akin to what we've been seeing in Marvel since that started. I don't know why at any point they thought 5 POA was a good idea for the Star Wars side of this, but they've learned their lesson, I guess, and now we have full elbow and knee joints, so huzzah, the day is saved. But yeah, so we have this like mech suit for Mando. It's got some translucent bits, got a massive gun here. I don't know, this is kind of neat to me. Normally this would be something that I would not give a second look, but I don't know, something about this is just kind of cool, and I got lucky and found this at Target on Saturday, so I was able to utilize their circle deals and get $5 off, so can't say no to that. So yeah, packaging pretty basic. We got the plastic window here. You can see the crazy glare from my light. Got the mech suit, got the Mando, got the gun for each. And big picture of the mech suit there on that side. Not really anything going on the top. Over here, level up to ultimate bounty hunter status with the Mandalorian in an armored mech suit. I guess it would definitely give you an edge on bounty hunters that don't have a giant mech suit. That makes sense. In any case, I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the box. We'll take a closer look. So here's everything you get in the packaging. Of course, you have the mech suit here with the giant gun, which I guess in a way you could kind of pretend is like he could just, you know, co-pilot or maybe use the thing like on his wrist to, you know, pilot it from afar, and then it could just be like some muscle, which is kind of a neat idea. But we do get this Mando figure, and it's kind of... I'm wondering if they're trying to pretend that this is kind of like Season 1 Mando before he gets the full Beskar armor. Or is it just they cheaped out and didn't paint the whole thing? I feel like an argument could be made for either, but I do also feel like it's not quite as like bright. So like if I bring in the one, this is the one that came with the bike, and this is very clearly like full Beskar Mando. I mean, everything's painted. It's a really nice shiny silver, and this is kind of like a darker gray, feels a little tarnished. They have a little blue in there. I know he used to have like the triangle on the back of his hand is blue. So, but it also just matches the mech. But you could kind of think of this one as like early on Mando, and then this is like full Beskar Mando. So if you want to think about it that way. Also, this like piece that they have with the bandolier that also connects it to the side skirts. You can see that that's painted differently. So that's kind of neat. Just to give him somewhat of a different look, which I appreciate that. I don't just want the same exact Mando figure all the time, because we know we have so many of those. The little cape piece, this is the same. You can just take that off, and I'll just have that off to the side for the moment. He does have all the articulation you would want. Head is on a ball joint. Can look down, can look up slightly, maybe tilt side to side ever so slightly, but can look around no problem. You do have the hinge and the rotation in the shoulder. You have the hinge and rotation in the elbow, nothing in the wrist, nothing in the waist, but you do have ball joints for the hips, so they can move all around, which is nice. And then you have the hinge and rotation at the knee, and nothing in the ankle. That's one solid piece. And he does come with his little gun. I'd love it if the gun could go in the holster on his hip, but I understand. That would be awesome. That would be like, but that's like TVC level, so I get it. But I always love it when they have holsters for their weapons and things. But overall, it's a pretty decent little Mando figure. No complaints. And like I said, it does look different from the other ones we've been getting with the full silver paint. So, like I said, it could be that they meant to do an earlier version of Mando. It could be they wanted to save some paint applications to keep the cost of this set down. I'll pretend, or I'll choose to think of it that they're giving us an earlier version of Mando and not that they cheaped out. Probably not true, but that's what I'm going to do. Let's go ahead and take a look at the mech suit. Actually looks decent. I mean, you have some nice silver paint here on the chest. The helmet looks good. I think it's funny. You can see where the hinge is when you open it up because there's a chunk out of the helmet here. The back has no paint whatsoever, but that's fine, I guess. You have a little bit of that, like, network blue kind of matrixy, you know, grid looking stuff going on there on the chest. Translucent blue for the forearms and the fists. So head cannot move at all. You can spin the arms around. It almost looks like maybe it's a very limited ball joint, but the problem is when you open this up, you can see like how flimsy the piece of plastic is that the arm is connected to. Like, it's not so flimsy that you're going to break it, but it's thin. All of this plastic is thin. So I don't really want to push too hard on this and snap it off because I feel like that's very possible. So I'm going to mostly just kind of swivel maybe the tiniest little bit of up and down. So it's kind of like a limited ball joint maybe. So just be a little wary of that. And then it just snaps back down. You do actually have elbows. They're very limited. They can bend backwards and ever so slightly forwards, and I do not think it rotates at all. But you do have a hand or wrist rotation there. It's a little tight, and I'm worried that I'm not revolving like the mushroom peg inside. This one's a little better, so just another little thing to be wary about. But he's got very limited elbows, and then of course there's nothing in the legs. That's just one solid piece. But you do have this massive translucent blue, which I kind of like this cannon, I'm not going to lie. It's got some really nice molded detail in it. It's also got a hole in the front that makes it seem like at one point they were considering putting like a spring-loaded missile launcher in this and then abandoned it. Maybe for cost, maybe they just feel like people are over the spring-loaded missiles, I don't know. But I do think it's kind of a cool cannon, and I kind of like it in the translucent blue. So this has a couple options. You can have it in the hand like I just did. The packaging shows that you can connect it here onto one of the shoulders, which is kind of cool. Really anywhere there is a peg. So you could also put it on the side of the wrist. You could put it down here on the side of the leg. You could attach it to the back if you want them to store it here. So you have some options, and that's kind of cool. I appreciate that. A lot of different places you can pop that on. In terms of putting Mando inside, we will just open this up like so. And you can see that there is a little U-clip. Very simple. So we're going to take Mando. We're going to take the gun out of his hand. Now this is my only issue. I kind of found a fix. But the way that it shows you popping this in, like if you look at the back of the packaging, it doesn't show it closed. But it shows him connected here like this. This is how it shows him. And if I close this, that leaves Mando's hands just hanging out there on the sides, which is a weird choice. And the packaging doesn't ever show it closed with his hands hanging out. They show it like closed up, and I can't tell if the figure's inside or not. But yeah, so apparently that's how you're supposed to I don't know why his hands would be out there. If he's in a mech, you'd think he'd want his hands inside controlling the mech, but apparently not so. So what I've done, if we move this, if I take the hands and kind of push them as tight as I can to the body, and then kind of like use those elbows to kind of bring the hands in a little bit, then you can kind of pop them back in here and just kind of close it up, and then the hands will be on the inside. It's a little tight, like you can tell it almost doesn't want to close. Like I'm wondering if those hands are kind of pushing on the front, but it doesn't really look like it. The other thing is you got a huge gap here, which I don't love, that you can see right inside. Tactically, I feel like, you know, your adversaries could just aim the shot and shoot in your armpit and then you're down, but it will close, and then this way at least you don't have those hands hanging out the side, because that's a weird look. And I don't get it. I mean, I understand that they don't really have like enough room in here to put like controls for his hands to attach to, which I would ultimately love. I think that would be neat. Even if they just had something here, like you could bring the hands in and hold them onto like a peg here on each side for each hand to make it simulate some kind of, you know, joysticks or some kind of controlling apparatus. But I kind of think I might just think of this as like someone built him a mech that he can control with his, like, you know, gauntlet wrist computer, and he just uses it for muscle. I don't know that I care so much about having him pilot it as much as I just think it's cool for it to be an automaton. But that's me personally. If you want him to pilot it, of course, he does fit inside. And like I said, there is kind of a way to get the hands inside, because I think the hands on the outside looks kind of goofy, but it's all right, honestly. There's also a Stormtrooper one that I picked up that I'll probably take a look at in the next couple days. And I'm interested to see. I'm sure that one's going to be very, very similar to this. But it's a decent Mando figure with a kind of new color scheme, so I appreciate that. And I do think the mech looks neat. I would love that, you know, we had a little bit more elbow articulation. I wish he kind of fit inside better with his hands inside. But other than that, you know, I don't expect it to have any articulation in the legs. I think that makes total sense because the figure legs have to be in there, and I'm fine with that. Maybe a little bit more range of motion in the shoulder, maybe a little bit more range of motion in the elbow. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the mech. It's kind of cool. It's definitely not something I thought I needed for my Star Wars figures, but I kind of like it. It's kind of neat. Now, I think these sets retail for like $17.99 or $18.99, something like that. I was able to get a couple bucks off with that Target coupon, but you know, if you think about the fact that the figures are like $8 to $10, you know, the mech being $5 to $8, I feel like is not terrible. I feel like that's pretty reasonable. And for that, I think it's kind of neat. And at least they're not just giving us the exact same Mando figure again. This Mando figure, I would assume, at least this color scheme, is going to be exclusive to this mech, because he's got that kind of blue circuitry patterning, which is kind of neat. So, again, do you need it? That's going to be up to you. I definitely don't think this is something that will speak to a ton of collectors. It's obviously not geared at them, but it's kind of fun, and I think it's reasonably priced enough that, you know, you could pick it up. And I mean, you kind of think about it, it's almost the same price as some of these TVC figures we're getting. Now, again, they're much more detailed, more accessories, etc. But some of them are like $16.99, $17.99, and this is like $17 or $18.99. So think about that. Just something to think about. They're honestly not bad figures. The articulation's there. Could he use a little bit more paint? Sure, but you could always think of him as, you know, early on, less Beskar Mando. It's a decent little set. I think for the price, I think it's fair, especially if you can find it on sale or with a coupon. I think there's some silly fun to be had with it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.